my mindset, like I'll get down if something negative happens and I'll blurt it out and we'll move on.
Yeah.
But the key is, and the mindset is, when you blurt it out and get it over with, like you got to move on to the next, and then don't even think about it. It is what it is. Like we know the drill. Not everybody's buying. Not everybody's gonna be nice to you, but just keep it moving.
Right.
And then also, if you sell stuff, like don't be like, oh my God, this is the greatest day ever. I sold 3 policies. Like,
yeah.
Whatever. Keep it moving.
All right, welcome to True Talk. I'm my man Steve Giordano, the #1 producer for like the last 100 years here.
My
just
man.
about. Yeah. How we doing, bro?
I'm terrific. Yourself?
Awesome, dude. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
You have a busy schedule, dude. We got you up here. But seriously, you've been #1 how many years in a row now?
5 in a row.
5. You have 5 belts?
5 belts.
It's like Booker T, dude. 5 times.
Right. 5 times.
Yeah.
5 times. 5 times. 5 times.
Love it.
Love it.
Is that your plan this year to be #1?
Not my plan.
Not your plan.
I mean, my plan is to grow our team. And it's funny you mentioned that. The #1 thing I was most proud of at convention was not the 5th belt. Was 1, having Tier be a $2 million annuity Hall of Famer, and 2, we were number 10 as an agency in profitability.
That's awesome.
I got that. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I want to be #1 in profitability.
You've been pushing for that. Like, I remember, dude, I think we were in Miami. I remember we gave you the belt, and I think I was taking it back from you to send it back, and I'm like, dude, you got to grow your agency. It's like, this is the year, and you've been on it. So, number 10 profitability last year. It's awesome. What is your goal agency production this year?
Really to be over 10, probably
10.
11 to 12. I think we can do it.
Agency Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Agency Hall of Fame. That's kind of been my #1 goal. This year I want to be Agency Hall of Fame, Annuity Hall of Fame, Personal Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I think it's doable for sure.
What's the most annuities you've ever written in a year?
Not too much. Maybe like 400,000.
Okay.
I think I did.
Got it. So you got some room
Got
there to
some
grow.
room to go, for sure.
But I mean, it's not. I mean, we're in March. It's not crazy.
Yeah.
It can happen.
I got a few in the pipeline.
Yeah. And right now you're at, well, this is going back a few weeks, through end of February, 264,000, which is on pace to do about 1.7, 1.8. So you continue that pace, it'll be your best year ever.
Wild.
Are you working a lot more?
I mean, it's different because this business has always evolved for me. You know, we go from like the pandemic where we're like in home and we're selling people in like the driveway to now we're virtual to for me, it's hybrid. So I've looked at it like, man, I can sell in person and I can sell over the phone, and also having people book on my calendar for IUL. So like from a phone call perspective, I'm probably making more phone calls and more appointments. From a working hard perspective, I mean, I'm home more.
Yeah.
So like I can make a couple phone calls and go like do the laundry or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like go do something else and sell a couple of IULs. So
it's not like you've doubled your work.
Correct.
Your schedule. It's pretty much same schedule, more on the phone.
Right.
But I mean, just switching. When did you make that switch to IULs and virtual?
Last year I was doing virtual, but I was probably like 10, 20%. Now it might be like 40, 50, depending the week. And look, they the way you set it up, they book themselves. So you open your calendar and then you're just taking calls and you get your no-shows and you're this and you're that, and you can sell a policy in 20 minutes to people everywhere.
It's just like once you know your numbers, you've cracked the code, right? Like if you know, if I dial this many times, speak to this many people, this is how many sales I'm going to make. Now you got the cheat code.
100%.
And the better you get, the better those ratios get, but that's why you got to know your numbers.
Absolutely.
What do you do? So being the #1 producer year in and year out, you got to have a constant lead flow, right? Like I guess, what is the key to being #1?
I think lead flow for sure.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sell just anybody. You need people that actually want it. Yeah. So lead flow and being diverse and having, I always say like 2 to 3 types or vendors or whatever way you want to look at that. That's #1. Your schedule and your discipline is #2. You know, your calendar, if it's not minute by minute and kind of filled out that way to where you know you got something next coming up, you're never going to get to those numbers. Yeah. And you know that's hard. Like sometimes you don't want to, sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're whatever. You got to make sure that your goals don't care if you're tired or not.
Right.
That schedule is filled out for the 5-6 days that I'm working it.
Yeah.
And I'm maximizing it. And I get a lot of urgency around, all right, like if I don't have something on that calendar, like I got to go call somebody.
Yeah.
I got to call a past client. I got to call somebody I didn't sell. Like there's somebody to call, you know, when you buy leads. So I think that's kind of the key, the lead flow and then the schedule.
Yeah. It's funny. I interview people every week here, and everything I ask always boils down to mentality, mindset. Because everything you just said, schedule, but I have to make sure I'm calling someone. That's a mindset thing.
Absolutely.
Because you could easily go, well, dude, my first 3 appointments weren't there. Today's going to suck, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to get on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's what separates top producers from people that don't produce enough is they let distractions and excuses get in the way.
Yes.
Right? How do you make sure that that doesn't happen? And I know it's probably easier now, 7 years, but I mean, early on, your first year, 2019, you sold almost 700,000. You're number 2, you know, in the country. How do you avoid those distractions and not let that negativity sink in?
It's funny because you say it's easy. It's actually still hard for me in this regard because I want to close everybody.
Yeah.
I'm competitive, the whole thing. I'll get down at certain times. And a lot of people will look at me and be like, well, he closes everybody.
Right.
He writes 1.5. He closes every single person. Yes. Do I have a good close ratio? Sure. But what I don't have is a lot of days where I don't get something out of it. Meaning, like, when you do that over a month, a year, and you fought through 9 no-shows, but you sold 1.
Right.
And then you did the next day and you sold 3. And then, this day you had 6 but you just worked it. And my mindset, like, I'll get down if something negative happens and I'll blurt it out and we'll move on.
Yeah.
But the key is, and the mindset is, when you blurt it out and get it over with, like, you got to move on to the next. And then don't even think about it. It is what it is. Like, we know the drill. Not everybody's buying. Not everybody's going to be nice to you. But just keep it moving.
Right.
And then also, if you sell stuff, like, don't be like, oh, my God, this is the greatest day ever. I sold 3 policies. Like, whatever. Keep it moving.
Yeah, how have you not rode that part of the roller coaster? Because there are ups and downs in sales, right? And I think every agent struggles with one or the other. Some, when they're down, they're down. Like, they, 5 appointments in a row were no-showed, and all of a sudden they're looking on Indeed for a new job. They're ready to quit. They're selling their TV. Like, dude, relax.
Sure.
But also, you go on a streak. I've been there where I remember my worst day ever in the field was preceded by, like, 3 of my best weeks ever. Dude, this was, like, my first year. I'm getting paid $4 or $5 grand a week. I'm like, dude, this is awesome, right? And then I had a day where I had 10 appointments. All of them were there, Steve. I closed none of them. And I'm like, this sucks. I should not even be in this business. Horrible. But so the downs are hard to manage, but being number 1, 5 years in a row and always being around that million, except for the first year where you were here for 11 months, how do you not ride that high?
I'm always afraid, like, somebody's going to take it away.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Like, I don't, like, you have to have a mentality when I think you're an entrepreneur, like, you're thinking bigger, you're making more money, you're thinking, like, on this bigger level.
Yeah.
But you have to match that with, like, you could lose it in an instant.
Right.
And I have that just in me. Like, I'm like, all right, like, 1, we haven't arrived. Like, there's a lot more I want to do. What's amazing about this business is the cash flow that it gives you. It can help you to do other things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So, like, just look at it for what it is and don't ride the high and be like, oh, like, we've made it. Like, we haven't made it.
Right.
Like, yes, we're happy where we are, but there's more to do, and you could literally lose it at any minute.
Yeah. So you're kind of almost always looking over your shoulder. Like,
100%.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, it's been an impressive run. People that look at you, like, you do get that, well, Steve doesn't need to get on training. But it's funny, every time we talk, you're like, dude, I get on all the training. It's what I try to explain to everyone. The top guys get on everything. It's the ones in the middle that, like, oh, I don't need to get on. I already know how to sell, dude. I don't need to listen to you, Steve. Mm-hmm. I learned how to sell last year, and I'm good now. You're like, dude, but you do like $200K a year.
Right.
My man's done that in 2 months. But you still get on as much training as you can.
Absolutely. Because there's always, like, one little thing.
Yeah.
It's not to say, like, yeah, you're going to hear an hour call and you're going to hear an hour worth of stuff that's going to change your life.
Right.
You're going to hear probably one thing when you've been doing this a long time, and it's like, it could be a word track. Like, I was talking to this agent this morning.
Yeah.
And she's talking to me about doing mortgage appointments. Mm-hmm. And she's talking about how she'll communicate to the client about, hey, the bank's going to foreclose on your house in 3 months. And she uses that in her pitch in that 3 months. And then when you're doing equity protection or what have you. And I was like, man, I don't do that. I'm like, I'm going to start doing that.
Right.
Like, now I write a hell of a lot more than this person.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that makes sense.
Right.
I need to tweak that.
Yep.
And that's where that mentality comes. Like, if you think you know it all, like you're dead.
You're done.
You're gonna have you're gonna ride the wave for a little bit.
Sure.
But it's gonna come and bite you soon.
Yep.
Because you think you have it all figured out. Like, be confident in what you do, but there's a lot of learning to do, and you better be out there doing it.
Absolutely. I saw this TikTok the other day. I forget who it was. It was some Major League Baseball player taking ground balls. And the quote was like, you got kids that, don't want to do this because it's boring. They already know. But this guy's in the major leagues. Only a small percentage of people make it there. What's he spending? Probably an hour doing? Fielding routine ground balls.
That's right. Basic
ground balls, nothing crazy, not no Derek Jeter jump. It's just right here. And that's kind of like what getting on the training is, dialing, doing the stuff that you already know how to do, but repetition will help you get to perfection or as close to that as you're going to get.
And think about, I'm a Yankee fan, right? So Aaron Judge, amazing player.
Absolutely.
Drops that fly ball in the World Series.
Right.
Routine. He's done it a million times. And I'm not trying to pick on him. I love him. He's an amazing player. But to that point, focus on that little stuff. That little stuff could have been the difference of them winning a World Series and losing one.
Absolutely. And it was. I mean, that inning was atrocious.
Right. That was the catalyst.
Yep, absolutely. Once that started, it was just a domino effect. And I think that's what happens in business too, right? Like, it's these small things that you don't correct, that you don't fix, you don't pay attention to, and then all of a sudden it's a domino effect. And next thing you know, you're like, volume's down, I'm not recruiting, oh, we got debt, all this stuff. It snowballs, but it starts with something small, What have you been doing on the recruiting side? Because, I mean, goal's $10 million.
Yeah.
I think you'll hit it. You were top 10 from a profitability standpoint last year. And that, I mean, full transparency, it's something that I don't want to say you struggled with, but you were early on. You struggled with building a team, right? It was up, down, up, down. Like, I remember you like, dude, I can't figure this shit out. Like, but you're gaining some traction now.
Absolutely.
Why? What have you changed?
I think, one, in building like kind of the brand of like what I sell and like what our team is doing with a lot of social media, the attraction marketing there has been helping. And then me reaching out to people through Instagram and just trying to have like better connections with people and finding the people that want to legitimately do this and they want to start businesses. I don't even like to talk a lot in recruiting conversations about quote unquote insurance until I understand if you're the person that I think understands running a business. Because that's like number one. Like, I could teach anybody to sell insurance. Selling insurance, we sell 3 types of products. They're pretty cut and dry. People fill out leads and want it. But I need you to understand how to run a business. So there's been a lot of that through social media. And frankly, I'm very picky of who I want to work with. We've all made mistakes and recruited the wrong people. It's how business goes.
Right.
And you learn your lessons. And then I think the second thing would be the good leaders that I have on my team, empowering them more, and they're finding now kind of that next level. So it's becoming a multiplication. We're not where we want to be yet, but I feel like we're on our way. And you just got to keep chopping the axe and figuring things out.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, through February, about 900,000.
Yeah.
Good way to start the year. Obviously, you're picking up a little bit.
Yeah, but it should be higher.
10 million is very doable.
Yeah,
with starting the year at 900.
We're going to do it.
People watching that don't know you probably think, dude, this guy's must have been in sales since he was like 5. Like, how's he selling this? But you have not been, right? No. Your background was restaurant business.
100%.
Yeah. How long were you in the restaurant business for?
Like 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Why'd you make the move to sales?
I just wanted more. Like, I remember, working in restaurants where it was just, you were very capped at where you were going to be. You had a lot of people making decisions for you on where your next career move was going to be. There weren't as many opportunities. And if there were, you had to move. And I had this angst around, like, I cannot listen to somebody tell me what to do anymore.
Yeah.
It just was not matching my personality. And I'm like, I'm good at like a lot of these things and like kind of leading myself. I need something like that.
Right.
And then sales, I think, was natural, and I think my personality and kind of how I was able to connect with people.
Yeah.
And then you throw in hard work and, the system we have, and it's like this recipe for good things when you put it all together.
Why did you get into the restaurant business?
I wanted to be a chef at the time when I was like got 15.
Okay.
Maybe.
When you were 15, you want to be a chef?
Yeah, like I started.
Where'd that come from?
I know, right? Like I started working at a catering hall,
Yeah.
and like I saw, and I was like, oh, this is cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I didn't know. I liked it. I like cooking. I still do.
Yeah.
But I then started learning, like, okay, like this is like labor, like you're gonna like beat yourself up.
Did you start out as a chef?
I started out as a dishwasher.
Okay.
And then I worked my way up to being a chef.
Yeah.
And went to culinary school. And then I was like, okay, I like more of the management and the business side of
Got
things.
it.
So that's where kind of the business kind of,
Because when you left, you were general manager?
Yeah, I had multiple units. I was like a district manager
Yeah.
for multiple restaurants and stuff.
What was your best year income-wise in the restaurant industry?
Like 110.
110. How many hours a week were you working then?
Probably 50, 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was when you were
And
general
weekends,
manager.
nights, yeah, the whole deal, yeah.
Were you capped out? Was there anywhere to grow from there? Or?
I mean, there would have been certain positions I could have taken that would have been higher, but it was, moving, and you got to move here, you got to move there.
Or wait for someone to die or something.
Yeah, like I moved a couple times, and that was the type of thing. Like the people that had the positions, they weren't.
There's
really
only so
going
many.
anywhere.
There's not like 100 positions up there.
Correct.
Like, you waiting for someone to quit, die, retire, or Got it. And you met Mark Mead in the restaurant business, or no?
Yeah, technically, yeah. It was when we were both with Red Lobster.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he obviously joined or got his license a lot earlier.
Yeah.
How did you end up working with Mark here?
He did a hell of a good job recruiting me on social media one day. He sent me a message on Facebook. We were talking about the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And then we just started talking business. And I had been looking at insurance. And I was telling him the company I was looking at, and he was like, well, they have no leads, so please don't do that. I'm like, all right, duly noted. And then he was like, here, let me kind of show you how this system works. And it made a hell of a lot more sense than not having anybody to talk to.
Got it. And this is back when, 2018?
This was actually like let me think here, maybe 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he approached. That was the first time he ever talked to you about this.
Yeah, like
did you all keep in touch? Or
yeah, we were friends and we would talk sports here and there.
Somehow you both are Dolphins fans.
Yeah,
like, there's a few of you guys still out there.
Yeah, all three of us. My heart goes out to you. And then I saw what he was doing, and he just started communicating.
So you were following him on social, seeing his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you said you were already looking into insurance. What attracted you to insurance?
I'd gotten an IUL back in 2015 from a guy who was selling it in a restaurant I worked in. So he's having an appointment, and I overhear it, and I didn't have a retirement through them at the time. So I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then he sells me the IUL, and he's going through, man, you'd be good at this. Like, you kind of have the look for it, this, that, and the other thing. But I had no, idea around. He's like, well, you're not gonna have a salary, you're not gonna have leads, you're not gonna have a car, you're not gonna have insurance. I'm like,
you're like,
I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, what am I gonna have?
And I was not in an entrepreneurial mindset at all at the time. And
well, what were you doing at the restaurant at that point?
I was district manager. I had multiple units, so I was probably making whatever 100 or so. I was doing okay, and but I just knew in that conversation with him, I'm like, all right, this makes sense, but
there's something there.
I needed to understand it.
Wasn't the right time for it.
It wasn't the right time. It took time, and I did my research, which I'm very analytical and sometimes too analytical.
Yeah.
And then it started to make sense.
Okay. You've been researching insurance prior to Mark reaching out?
So after I spoke to him, that guy that sold me the IUL, I just started watching videos of like Sean and other top people in the industry.
So you found out who we were early on.
Yeah, I saw it, and then I saw he was connected. I was like, okay, and I just started watching videos on YouTube.
And then Mark reached out, told you don't join the company with no leads. But that was 2017. You didn't join us till 19.
That was actually so we had the conversation probably 17.
Yeah.
I got licensed a year later.
Okay.
It was the end of 2018.
Why'd you take so long? Were you weren't ready to start at that point?
Because I was analyzing like I do everything. And I just wasn't like a lot of people, I wasn't ready to make the jump.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had 10, 15 years in at this point.
Correct.
That's
it was
big time investment to walk 100%. Away from, right? So you researched for a couple years.
Yeah.
What got you to finally make that jump?
I just got so sick of listening to someone I was working at a hospital at the time.
Yeah.
I was running food and nutrition. Right?
Okay.
And it was a good gig for what it was when I moved to Florida. And I was just listening to people who hired me to run a department for my expertise, of which they didn't have any. Higher up, and then they're like, well, we need you to do this way. I'm like, You brought me in because of what I know. Why in the world would I? I'm not telling you how to run the hospital.
Right.
Like, so don't tell me how to run the food. You got me here to run the food. And I just got that angst where I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't. I'm more of a free thinker. I need to run my own thing.
Yeah.
Like, bottom line, I cannot listen to anybody.
Yeah. Got it. And then will you reach back out to Mark or?
Yeah, I think we had been talking, and I had got my license, and it was literally I think it was September I got in 2018, and then I started part-time in, was that November of 2018, like right at the end.
Okay. So you were part-time for a few months.
Yeah, like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that early? What was early Steve selling insurance like? Because obviously you weren't, doing a $200 a month. But what was it like early on for you?
It was a struggle. I was too nice with people.
Really?
I was, because I was just so used to
Customer service.
you work in a restaurant, you make everybody happy.
Yeah.
I go to a house, like, and then you're in these situations where you've never been in before, and I'm just trying to like cater to every little need as opposed to
your appointments long in the beginning?
Longer. I've never made them too long because I've never wanted to be in them too long. I'm like, I don't get paid by the hour. Like, let's just knock this out here. But it would just be like, I'm trying to be too nice to you, and then I'm not telling you what makes sense for you based on my analysis of your situation.
Got it.
And then they wouldn't buy.
Yeah.
And then I got lucky. There were some people that were super duper nice and like would have bought it from anybody who was nice to them.
Yeah, there are those clients. It's probably maybe a third of the people you meet with.
I was like, okay, but then I learned, and I'll never forget. There was this woman. I didn't close her. She wanted to do it was like $600 a month or something ridiculous. It was really late at night. And I called Mark afterwards, and he said to me, I'll never forget. He goes, "How do you feel that you didn't close that woman and she's going to be left with whatever," however he said it.
Yeah.
It was a very harsh comment.
Right. Something like she, now she can't protect her family.
Correct.
She's left with nothing type.
And I was like, it hit me, and I'm like, the light bulb went off.
Okay.
I'm like, he's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing this incorrectly. I'm not taking control and closing people. And why am I not? I have a personality that I can do that and a stature to do that. And then I started doing it. And then it was just like off to the
So
races.
was it him almost, I don't want to say reminding you, but pointing out the value of what you're selling versus this whole, did I close or not?
Yeah. And also I think he said to me, I knew you could be coached hard.
Yeah.
Because I'm very kind of old school, whereas I think we're in a generation now where people cannot be coached hard.
Oh my God, yeah.
So when he I was not mad, I wasn't upset. I was like, he's right. That's what I needed. I needed that kick in the ass and kind of redirecting me in what I was doing. I was working hard. It wasn't like I was sitting around doing nothing, and he knew that. And that was the spark.
Got it.
And I was like, okay, now I understand what this is about.
I love your transparency because sometimes I interview people and I try to ask about struggles and they're like, no, I never struggled. I was day one, I was great. I'm like, dude, that's not, first of all, it's not cool to say.
Right.
No one's impressed by that. They know you're lying. I don't care how good you are. Mm-hmm. What we sell is completely different from any other type of sale.
100%.
And so if you've been in sales forever and you join us and you pretend you never struggled, you're lying. Mm-hmm. If you've never been in sales and you join us and you pretend you never struggled, you're also lying. So I love you being honest.
No doubt.
Because it doesn't make you look like your numbers speak for themselves. But obviously you had to work through those struggles. When you were at that point where you're being too nice, you're not, selling at the level you want to, you're still part-time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there any part of you that thought maybe this ain't the gig? Maybe I shouldn't do this?
I'd say no. And here's probably the reason I'd say no. I was so all into it.
Yeah.
That I almost was I don't have another, I wasn't going back to restaurants.
Got it. I'm either going to figure this out or burn it to the ground.
Yes, I maybe in the back of my head, I was like, okay, obviously I could.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to. I remember, I'm in my old house. I had this bedroom that I was like, all right, this is going to be my office.
Yeah.
And I went completely all in, renovated it, got a custom desk, the whole deal.
Yeah.
I had the whole setup. Literally, and then when I bought my new house, I made the same exact setup because I'm very superstitious. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was like, I'm all in. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm spending on it, and I'm just not gonna look back.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I had moments where I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
But they didn't last long because I was just so I'm like, this works.
Yeah.
I'm looking around, and that's the thing about this company. If you're struggling, call somebody who's not.
Right.
And what I mean by that is like everybody is going to struggle. You're going to call me, you're going to call everybody, and they're going to tell you the 17 struggle that they have.
Sure.
But they're going to tell you how they're overcoming them and how they're making X and doing this.
Right.
You know?
But what a lot of people do when they're struggling, Steve, is they call someone else who's struggling.
Yes, it's the worst
So they
thing
can
ever
sit
do.
there and bitch, moan, and complain together.
Correct.
And now it's like, oh, we're both going to quit. Like, hey, if you're going to quit, have at it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to get better, don't call the guy who's in the same damn position as you.
That's right.
Like you were talking to Mark. You weren't talking to the next brand new guy who's struggling going, hey, what are you doing? But it's mine. You see it in meetings. You see it at convention. Like, dude, what are y'all two talking about out here? Neither one of you sell. There's a guy on stage who sells 10 times what you sell because you sell nothing, but you want advice from him.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been like that since the day we got in this business.
Yes.
We used to go to these little meetings, 20, 30 people training, and there was this guy, I don't remember his name, but older guy, sweater vest, the insurance. He knew everything about every product, Steve. You know how much he sold?
Probably less than nothing.
Barely anything. Every once in a while, I accidentally sold a policy. But he'd get there early so he can train everyone. And this is back old school, Sean. He'd walk in and go, dude, why are you training? You don't sell anything. If y'all want to learn how not to sell, talk to him. And you get all uncomfortable. But we still have, it's not it, but we still have that going on in pockets.
100%. We do.
Reach out. Maybe it's uncomfortable to reach out to someone who's doing more, but that's how you're going to learn.
Yeah, because people feel comfortable with each other. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, man, like I'm in the same boat as you. Like, let's talk.
Right.
No. You got to talk. Be the dumbest one in the room.
Absolutely.
Find the smart ones.
100%. When was that conversation with Mark that kind of opened that, turned that light on for you?
I'm trying to think. It was probably maybe the second month or third month. And
Yeah.
It was a really late appointment, and I called him on the way home, and I was like, how did I not close this woman?
You were still part-time then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, it was right before that first convention, I believe.
Got it. When did you make the jump to full-time?
Pretty much when I went to convention.
Okay.
That 2019.
So it was 2019. That was the last one we did in Vegas?
Yes.
Planet Hollywood?
Second to last.
Second to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going into it, I was like, okay, like coming out of this, I'm going to be full time. Like that was the thing. And then I just remember being there and like I was so laser focused because I knew like this is it.
Yeah.
Like, we're burning boats. Like we ain't going back. And I'm looking at people and I'm like, okay, I'm connecting with people who were selling at a high level. I'm like, okay, just what are you doing?
Yeah.
What should I do? And I'm just trying to follow along and then just listening to people who were doing it and following their advice and then understanding like it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
And I did. And there was things, and personally I was like, well, to my wife, we're not going to do this for the next couple months.
Yeah.
I'm going to focus working 5-6 days a week doing this.
Yeah. What were some things you had to sacrifice? Because we talk so much about the good, right? Like,
sure.
Steve, you sell a lot. Obviously, you're making money. Like, before you answer that, what's been your best income year with us? Was last year?
Yeah, a little over $1 million.
A little over $1 million.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Right? What'd you spend that year?
Like
Expenses.
140. Well, leads probably 140. I'm sure it's a little
Leads
higher.
alone,
Just
140.
other maybe 2 with other
Round
things.
2.
Whatever.
So last year you spent double what your best income year was prior to life insurance.
Yeah, and gladly too.
Gladly. But when you now obviously you're a businessman, entrepreneur, you get it. But when you take a step back, like try to remove yourself and think about it, that's crazy.
It is.
Right? Like, but who wouldn't want to spend $200K to gross $1 million, keep 8?
Right.
Do that all day.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you play into obviously taxes and how you
Sure.
play that, game and whatever as a business person.
Yeah. But either way, even if you walk away with $500-600K net, it's a pretty good deal.
Hell yeah.
And there's no cap.
Correct.
Like, you do more, you make more.
Right.
You don't have to wait for you don't have to wait for Sean to die and be the CEO to make. Like, you just do what you do.
Correct.
But we talk about that stuff a lot. Sacrifices, I think, is also something that holds people back because they're unwilling to make them at all. Like, and we're not saying, dude, sacrifice, don't see your family for 10 years type shit. Like, but what were some sacrifices you decided to make early on, and how did you communicate that to your family? You didn't have kids at the time, right?
No,
it was just you and Margot.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, it's funny. So when I got the position in the hospital and I moved to Florida, I was so used to working nights and weekends and like really killing myself. So I get this position now that's Monday to Friday. I moved to South Florida. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm basically working my daytime job, hanging out, doing stuff at night, doing stuff on the weekends, whatever. So I get into this and and it's hard in South Florida, right? You could always be doing something.
All kinds of
I tell people,
yeah.
I'm like, you're not going to get a higher producer probably in South Florida than me, just because they're going to be enticed by everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's hard to not be.
Yeah.
So the sacrifices early on was instead of when I used to come home from work and all right, now I'm going to sit on the TV, I'm going to watch some sports, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I was working in the evenings, right? Dialing, calling, whatever. And there was sacrifice of those nights. And then I'm obviously running late appointments. So if I'm running 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, maybe the Saturday I'd cut it off early. Mm-hmm. But that nighttime, those hours, that's where my income leveling up came.
Right.
And it was basically just communicating, with my wife, like, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is going to be the schedule. I'm going to sacrifice these nights, and then, all right, then we're going to have like Saturdays, and then we're going to have Sunday.
Yeah.
And I just did that. And then next thing you know, because again, the goal, it's about what your goals are. The goals were to make more money.
Yeah.
Like, let's sacrifice now. Let's make more money. Let's get ourselves in a better position. Let's then be able to have kids, afford it, and not be freaking out about it. Right.
Because they're expensive.
Because they're expensive. They definitely
How many
are.
you have now? Two? How old are they?
4, and one's going to be 3.
Okay.
Like 2 months.
They're going to get more expensive every
Correct.
year, Steve. So.
Yeah, right. You're right.
Yeah, get ready.
That's why people are like, oh, like, why do you sell so much? Well, I have 2 kids. Like,
right.
I don't know. Why don't you?
Yeah, that's a great question.
You got 4. Why aren't you selling
exactly.
as much? I don't understand. But that was kind of that sacrifice then, but I knew what I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, like, what am I doing? Some of these nights I'm just sitting around like watching Netflix. Like, I could be building a business.
Correct.
For the long-term gain.
One of the things I learned early on in this business at a convention, the guy said, get a white sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, write what you want on one side. Do that. Just fill it out, whatever. You want to go on 3 trips a year. You want to go to Disney. You want to go to WrestleMania. Whatever the hell it is, write it. Sit down with your family. If you got kids, wife, write it all those things down. And then on the other column, write what you're willing to give up to do that. Because everybody wants. Right? You want to go to Disney? Yeah, it'd be great. I wish I could. How many times do you hear that shit? I wish I could do this. And if I win the lottery, I would do X, Y, and Z. Why don't you just give up some stuff and start checking things off that list? But as long as that want list is, what you're going to give up better be equally as long. Because there's only so many hours in a day.
Yep.
And it's not hey, sacrifice, this for 10 years. Do it for a couple of years. Do it when the kids are little.
Yep, correct.
Like when my first daughter, Carmela, she is 13 now. When she was born that first year, you could have picked her up and she wouldn't have known the difference between me or you.
True.
Right? Like, I wasn't happy about it at the time, but our goal was when we have kids, we don't want to drop them off at daycare. We don't want family members to raise them. Yep. I wanted my wife to retire from the bank. She was a head teller at a bank for him. It's actually why I'm here. She met Sean there. But we didn't want her to work while we were raising kids. But what I had to give up, Steve, was almost every single night. This wasn't FFL. This wasn't 140% comp. Right. I'm at like a 70% comp, right? And, back then, $200,000 a year was like you guys writing 5 now. But, I mean, I'm selling $200K a year. I'm working in the office with Sean, building the company. I had one night where I went home at 4. I left the office at 4, went home Tuesday nights. For some reason, I picked Tuesday nights. That was like my night off. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I worked from 8 in the morning to 10, 11 o'clock at night. But I don't do that now. Right. But I had to do it then. And we did. We sat down. What do we want? We want you to stay home. We want to be able to take some trips. We want to not worry about money in different levels. I mean, back then it was like I want to go to the restaurant and not look at the price when I order my dinner, right? And not go, could we get an appetizer or not? Like that shit, I hate when you go out with someone and, they're splitting it up. They can, how much leave for Dude, who cares? Right. Don't go out if you're going to be that way.
Yeah, exactly. Stay home.
I've been a busser, dishwasher. I've done all that shit. And, like, the worst is, like, you're busting your ass and you get, like, a $2 tip on, like, a $200 bill. Like, dude, don't come out then. Yeah. But you got to be willing to sacrifice. Your why also has to change. Like, there's no way you keep doing 1.4, 1.5 million every single year with your same why from 2019, right?
Yeah.
What was your why initially and what is it now?
Yeah, it's interesting. So originally it's survive, right? So like it's okay. You made 110. Can you make at least that, right? Can you survive? then it's okay. Like I see where this is going. I can make more. And then it was okay. Like I want to have a bigger home because we want to have kids. And then it becomes, you know, you want your wife home to raise them and homeschool them, which is probably what we're going to do. And that's that's very liberating to be able to do that. And now it's kind of like, I want to venture into other things and take the monies that we make here to create more.
Right.
And I think that's something that gets lost a lot. Like there's so many opportunities, like real estate. I'm doing like a faceless YouTube channel, which is a wrestling channel.
Oh, nice.
Ironically enough,
I actually came across it. Yeah, I forgot.
Okay. Okay. So, and it's like you can do fun stuff and you can make money, and it's also like learning. And now it then also becomes okay getting the time back, right? Because now they are becoming 3 and 4. So like there are things like, I'm not always there as much as I want to be, but I can say, okay, we can do this, that, and the other. So it's now winning that time back and being able to like coach a sport as they're getting older, stuff like that.
That's awesome. What is your goal personally this year, production?
That's a great question. I mean, like,
have you thought about it yet?
No, honestly,
just
like,
going,
I'm just like, I guess. I mean, I always like to beat my number. I guess, like, but I always like to do what's possible. You know, like, being number 1 is cool. Like, whatever. If I'm not going to lose any sleep. Sure. The biggest goal, like I said before, is our team over 10 million. That's number 1. Me probably being, you know, annuity Hall of Famer would be number 2. Yeah. Doing something I haven't done there. And then, I mean, I'm sure I'll write 1.5 or ish in that ballpark. It would be cool to maybe do 2. And I say it in this regard. With the new kind of IUL lead structure and the virtual and the whole deal where you can really sell more and have more appointments. Right. It doesn't mean you're going to have to necessarily put in that much more time, but you can maximize your time. Correct. So, which
we're going to talk about that on the next level this week with you about that lead structure, because I was saying this to Silvana was up here recently, and I remember when we used to dial on Saturdays back in the day. We're talking 10, 15 years ago. Everyone would come to the office, would dial leads, and I was really good on the phone. So Sean would have new guys sit down and listen to me. And you know what? I'd sit there, I'd book 10, 15 appointments right in front of them. You know what most of their questions would be? What kind of leads are those?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, dude, it's not the lead.
Right, it's you.
It's you, right? Talk to me about that mentality, that presumptiveness, because I mean, you right now, you're doing a lot of IUL stuff. Mm-hmm. Are you doing one call close? You setting appointments, or
I do one call
close,
or like, so they'll fill out an ad and then they'll book on my calendar. They will have seen a couple of videos through that process.
So they book themselves.
And then I'm running those as a one call close phone, not Zoom.
Got it. Phone.
Yeah.
But it's still, I would assume, I've never sold over the phone. I was always in person. That presumptiveness, that assumptiveness, that assertive, direct is still the same tone, demeanor you have, right?
Yeah. And the thing with IUL, I think, is it's an education piece, right? Yeah. So, like, if they're seeing that stuff through the ads and the videos, they already have an idea, right? So now the number one thing I tell agents is that I'm doing is I'm kind of like right off the bat pre-qualifying it from the health perspective. Yeah. I don't want to waste my time telling you all these amazing things about the IUL, and then you tell me that you have congestive heart failure. Right. So I'm like, right off the bat, I'll literally ask people when they got on the call with me, all right, you saw all this stuff in the videos. Tell me your thoughts, what you were kind of looking for. Yeah. And then I start asking, like, what do they have, 401s, other life insurances, whatever. And then doing pre-qualification from a health, and then I'm explaining what it does. And I think the number one thing with being, maybe you're not as stern in these type of calls because it's more educational. Yeah. And I think you already have them on a hook. Right. And now, if I think you qualify, I tell you all the good that you've already seen. So now you've seen it twice. Yeah. And that's the hook. It's the education. Got it. And then what I'm also looking to do is reallocate money. So like I ask them, oh, you have a term. Like I had a guy before. I have a term I pay $60 a month. I have a whole life that I pay $119 a month. He's healthy enough to qualify for an IUL, and he owns a business and has no retirement. Yeah. I'm like, cool, man. Let's just take your 179 here and put it over here. Right. And here's why. This is going to do this versus what this isn't doing. Yeah. And he's like, man, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Not spending any more money than he was. Right. I'm just reallocating your money. Yeah. You know?
It's knowing your client.
100%.
Right? Like that's, one of my favorite trainings from back in the day was Sean's Psychology of the Sale. Wasn't because of, the great rebuttals he had in there. It was all about understanding who we're selling to.
Yes.
Right? When it was direct mail mortgage, it was people that just got a mortgage, refied something, but they filled out a form and sent it back to us. IULs, they saw your video, right? A lot of people, the video hits a lot of people. Most of them scroll past it, right? Yep. This individual saw it, watched the whole thing. They fill out, then from there they go to your Calendly.
So it's like they fill out the lead form. I'm interested, whatever. Then it goes into I have an AI bot thing where
like a chat bot or something.
Yeah, so it'll be okay, now you saw the video. Here's who I am. Has my business card. Here's my calendar. Book a time on my calendar, and then let's say they don't respond from that or book, it drips on you every day.
Got it.
So and then I can jump in because it's on my phone, if they have a question, whatever, and then I'm just getting them to the
Got it. But they've done these, so knowing your client, they saw the video, they filled out the form, they're going back with the chat bot, whatever, but they put themselves on your calendar.
Correct.
So I think a lot of agents shoot themselves in the foot because they get on the appointment, now they're checking interest again.
Yeah.
Correct. So you want to buy life insurance, Steve?
Right,
well, no shit. That's why I'm sitting here.
Exactly.
Right? They're not going to come out, hey, I'm here to buy life insurance today. They're buying you. Can they trust you? Is it the right product? But this is so key. You got to go into it expecting everybody you sit down with to want a life insurance policy because that's why we're meeting with them.
Right.
Lead-based sale. If we're cold calling, door knocking, I got you, dude. Check interest. I have no advice for you on that.
Right. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck. Probably find a new job.
Right.
You transitioned into IULs. I mean, you started last year, you said, but fully, half and half right now?
Yeah, I think probably if you look at my numbers, I'm probably about half and half.
Okay.
I think the first month I did 75,000 IULs and 70,000 certified issue whole.
Now, I would say later than some people, right? What took you so long?
I sold them this whole time.
Yeah.
I was doing mortgage leads, so it was more at the time CBO.
Got it.
And then
where it made sense, you'd move them over.
Yeah, and now even on mortgage, it's such an easier sale because they came into this for one thing, and now you're man, well, we're going to do that, but we're going to give you living benefit and we're going to give you cash accumulation for retirement.
Got it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not just paying this thing for 30 years and then it's going to run out.
Right. Was there any part of you, because, selling over $1 million every year, predominantly mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Was there any part of you thinking, dude, if I switch to this, I'm going to screw this up,
at
all?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I've looked at it the more I add and the broader I am, all that means is it's going to help me sell more and it's probably going to save time.
Right.
So I think that you got to be careful.
Sure.
There's a sweet spot to everything. I'm the first to tell you, I don't love driving, but I do love being in front of you, connecting with you, looking at your policies, whatever.
Yeah.
I will always take that any day of the week. And I do think there's a missing component here. I think sometimes we are a little too all virtual heavy sometimes.
Yeah.
To the point, whatever, if you do it and you sell and you don't spend a boatload and you're profitable, do it all day long.
Right.
I'm with you. But if you struggle with it, don't be well, I can never go to the field. Because then you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Do what works. Everything works a little bit at the end of the day.
It's funny. Anything I ask, it's always a positive spin. It's a good thing.
That's good.
Have you always been that way?
I'm kind of negative sometimes.
Really?
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I am. I try to be positive, but I have my moments.
What do you do to maintain that, though? Personal development, books, what's
I definitely listen to certain podcasts and entrepreneurs, and I save a lot of reels on Instagram, kind of quick things that are just they keep you sharp. And I also have a belief that if you work hard, if you do the right things, if you put in the time, good things will happen. It doesn't mean they're always going to happen when you want them to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to have some bad days, bad months, whatever. But if you can harness and not let it bring you down. If you got to go, this is something from restaurants. If you had a bad time, go in the freezer and scream for a minute and then come back out and then let's keep it moving. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, you had a frustrating situation with a client. They canceled. They didn't buy whatever. All right. How many people are there in the world, in the country?
Right. Yeah.
go call somebody else.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
keep planting seeds.
Yeah. It's like you were starting saying it when we first got on, you have a bad moment, you have a bad hour.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have a bad day.
Correct.
Don't live there.
Right.
Why are you going to let one interaction, 5 interactions with clients or whatever the case may be, you're driving to the office, somebody cuts you off, pisses you off. You let that bother, let that ruin the rest of your day.
Correct.
And it sounds stupid, but a lot of people do.
And if you could, let's say you have a bad couple of things that happen in the morning, right? If you can actually remember it by 9 o'clock at night,
Right.
it means you didn't work hard enough.
Correct.
Like, I don't even remember half the stuff that happens in the morning. I'm like, all right, well, now I'm on to this.
Right.
Like,
just talking to one of the staff members, and they're like, yeah, this guy thinks you don't like him. I'm like, why? They're like, years ago, he posted something, and this happened, and you said, I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I barely even know this guy. So to think that I don't like, I'm literally indifferent. Like, but people, they live in misery.
Yes.
It's like, and it's almost human nature or just how we're raised as a society to, go to the negative.
yeah.
But it's you got to manage this day
100%.
in and day out.
It'll kill you.
Right. But like we said, it's work.
Yes.
You working your ass off. It's hard to remember what happened. Hard to remember what you had for breakfast.
Right.
What happened on your way to the office, whatever the case may be. But when you're not working, it's easy to sit there and complain.
Cripples people.
Yeah.
It's like a chargeback. Like people, I'm like, if you worry about one chargeback, I'm not saying like I'm excited about them.
Right.
But if you're worried about one, you don't sell enough.
Correct.
At all.
Yep.
You sold one guy, he canceled it, and you didn't do anything after that.
Right.
That's on you, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely. You've had roll-up debt, right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest roll-up debt you dealt with?
35 from one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that early on or
2-3 years ago? Maybe
3
3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you work, so you're like, I don't know, something happened at some point.
Yeah, I went after the person with lawyers and whatever,
Yep.
and I think I got a payment plan and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's part of the game. I mean, I don't think
Absolutely.
anybody's excited about it.
No.
But you learn lessons and you understand in any business you're going to have profit and loss. It's the way
Correct.
it works.
Yeah.
And would I sign up for that to make, 900,000 or a
Right.
million or what, you know what I mean? Whatever the net or the gross of is my income. Yeah, sure.
Say you netted 500K. You're like, I lost 35K on one roll-up.
Right.
And,
Right.
in the moment it sucks. But it's the same thing. All right, well, you can't put it back, right?
Right.
You can't, once toothpaste out tube, you can't put it back.
Yeah.
You're lucky you got a payment plan because most of them do.
They're
the guy
gone.
who rolls you 30, 40, 50K in debt don't care about his credit or
Correct.
anything,
He doesn't.
liens, none of that shit. Like, he don't own anything. It's all in his mom's name, his kids, whatever. So you're lucky you got anything back.
Right.
But it's part of business.
Yeah, and I also look at them like, well, you're pathetic. So
Correct.
What do you want me to tell you? Like,
Right.
I'm going to be successful.
Yep.
You're still going to be pathetic.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
just being straight about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
God bless you. If that makes you happy to do that, karma's going to get you
Yep.
eventually. And you know what? I have people on my team that write annuities and I make 35 grand on them.
Right.
So like, whatever.
It is what it is.
Let's keep it moving.
Yep. How many Hall of Fame producers do you think you have this year?
We had last year we had 3.
3.
I think we had 3 last year. I
Yeah.
think we'll probably have 6.
6.
6 or
Nice.
so. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're going to wrap up with a little true or false, Steve.
Cool.
So I have a handful of just random things. These are not my opinions, by the way. It's just like it's testing you. But I'm going to rapid fire these. You let me know if they are true or false in your opinion, okay? The best insurance agents are born, not made.
Born, not made. False.
False. You need a large network of people to be successful in this business.
True.
True. A good salesman can sell anything to anyone.
False.
False. The best way to recruit is through social media.
True.
Door-to-door sales are outdated and ineffective in insurance.
False.
False. Sales without leads is like running through traffic blindfolded.
True.
Experienced agents still go through rejection.
True.
This is one. It's impossible to be the highest producer year after year.
False.
It's false because you're doing it.
Correct.
But, dude, I appreciate you coming up doing this.
Cool.
I really do.
Having
And appreciate you going out there kicking ass every year. I hope you are number one again just because the belt we're working on this year,
Oh, boy.
it's going to look great in your collection.
All right.
But also challenge anyone else. Like,
That's it.
dude, I love you, C, but as much as I hope you're number one, I'm kind of tired of giving you the belt.
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You're going to have to have a whole
get
nother
it. I
office
know.
just for belts.
Yeah, people got sick of seeing Tom Brady. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So you got a few more to you. I mean, you got 2 more, you get Tom Brady's level. But I mean, dude, it's awesome seeing what you're doing year in, year out. And, just talking to you, it makes sense why
Thanks.
And it's just, I mean, it's the core principles that we've heard and talked about for years. It's just how much are you going to adapt them? How much are you going to, I want to say concede, but like, dude, if I'm all in, I'm going to listen to everything that y'all are telling me to do,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to do it. A lot of people are too smart, though.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to do that. That's stupid, writing down your why and this and that and talking to your family about it. Why would I get on training if I okay, dude, you ain't number one, though. There's one person who's number one. Yeah. You know, so appreciate you kicking ass every year and coming up doing this. Absolutely. You were at convention, great event, right?
It's awesome, yeah.
Last thing, tell these guys why they should go today and register at fflconvention.com for next year.
I mean, if you don't invest in yourself and invest in time, like if I think of all the conventions I've went to, you know, certainly we'll say early on I learned, you know, the most, right? But every time I go, there's somebody that I talk to that I take away. It's like you said with the training, I take away little things that I'm not doing and should start doing,
right? Or
things I'm doing that I need to stop doing. And I walk away and I'm like, that's going to make me thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Correct.
And I think if you don't go, you don't have the mentality to be here.
Right.
Meaning you don't believe in investing in you, and you're sitting here penny pinching a hotel and $100 to register to go see people who are making millions of dollars, and they're going to actually teach you how to do it.
Correct.
Like you're not meant for this.
No.
So I think it's like a mentality thing. Like you have to sharpen the sword.
Yeah.
On the regular. If not, it's going to get dull.
And you're at everything. You're at the Ignite, like wherever you need to be.
Yeah, I want to go. I also, I understand my role in the company. I said this to Sean right after convention. The ability, the people that come up to me and they ask questions, and I try to give everybody as much as I got. Like, people do that for me, number one. Right. And it's an honor for me for people to be like, man, like, I want to do what you're doing. What do I got to do? Yep. And I love to give back and kind of talk to people like that.
That's the thing, dude. Everybody's so accessible. Like, you get to these events, dude. You're walking around. Anyone, hey, dude, got a question for you. You're not going to, don't talk to me. Like, that's what we go there for. I know it's the opposite of a lot of other conventions, but dude, we get up and just tell you everything. Because, first of all, most people are probably not going to do it. The other thing is we're not oversaturated, dude. You know, we had like 15,000 agents get paid last year. And this year we'll probably have somewhere around 20, and we'll hit $1 billion.
Yeah.
But there's a couple million people out there with a life insurance license. Crazy. So there's enough to go around, you know.
Sure.
So thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go to flconvention.com now to get registered. Also, igniteevents.com for the Ignite conference in Phoenix. Yep. And then we'll have one in West Palm later in the year. So appreciate y'all checking us out. You know where to find us every week right here on True Talk. See you next week.